I feel like my boyfriend let me down about engagement ring.
My boyfriend, 29, and I, 28, have been together 7.5 years and have always talked about getting married. He knows I'm so excited and ready, but he always said he just needed to have the money for a ring. I know he had to catch up on his finances and pay back rent from COVID, and I tried to help him with all of it. After us just putting our paychecks toward catching up on rent, he is finally squared away.
He said that being behind on money was all that was ever stopping him from us getting engaged and married.
Anyway, I love old things and have always wanted an antique ring that is pretty and delicate. After window shopping for a long time and daydreaming and checking this vintage ring company's website constantly, they finally posted one that was in a decent price range that I loved more than any ring in the world. And I thought, now it's not so out of reach. It could be a real thing that I could have the ring I always wanted. It was the prettiest ring I ever saw, and I showed my boyfriend because I know he didn't want to pick one out himself because he is kind of clueless about style and things. He said he wanted to get it for me. He just had to wait until he had the money for a deposit and then could do a payment plan for it.
I was so nervous it would be sold before he got paid and was checking it every day.
My mom even asked my boyfriend if he would like to make some money painting our dining room because she knew how much I loved the ring and wanted him to be able to reserve it before it got sold. Me and my boyfriend don't keep our finances that separate, so I have been frugal all year, knowing that he was planning to save some of his paychecks for a ring. So I thought once he got paid that he would call and set up a payment plan because he always said money was the only thing holding him back from proposing. I reminded him it was one of a kind and could be sold any minute because it was just added to the company's website, and he said he would call, but every day passed by and I know he didn't. I finally asked why he was waiting for no reason, and he said he was anxious but that he promised he'd call and secure it. I waited 2 weeks and he never called, and now it's sold. I am so sad because I adored the ring and thought it was finally time that we were ready to start the wedding process, but my boyfriend just totally dropped the ball. I wish he had told me he didn't want to get it for me instead of stringing me along. Now that ring is gone and I don't really want to pick out another one and go through this all again.
He said sorry and that it's just too bad, but there's nothing we can do now. I'm so mad and hurt because I've already waited 7 years, so what's he waiting for? I feel like he let me down because he didn't even try when he knew how important this was to me. I don't know how to go back to normal and just keep happily waiting. Am I being stupid or pathetic for picking out the ring I want and bugging him about it?
What should I do?
Too long did not read. My boyfriend of 7 years has been promising to buy me a ring once he was able to pay for one. I found a one-of-a-kind antique ring that I loved and was so attached to. He kept saying he would call to put a deposit on it, but he never did, and now it is sold. I feel mad and hurt, and he is acting so nonchalant about it. This might be an unpopular opinion, but you are putting way too much work into this. You're essentially doing all the work for him except buying the ring.
If he wanted to seriously marry you, he'd be taking the necessary steps on his own without you, or your mom, guiding him every step of the way.
It sounds like you're forcing it a bit.
You shouldn't have to do this much hand-holding.
He should be taking way more initiative. You two should have a sit-down and chat about where you're at in your relationship and see what the best route is moving forward. Start separating your money. I am so sad for you that you're helping him pay his bills so that he'll finally have the money to buy a ring, only for him to have no intention of buying it. He's taking you for a ride, and not in the fun way.
You are wasting your 20s. Don't waste your 30s too. He isn't ready to get married. Getting engaged should not be this much work on your end.
He doesn't want to marry you. He's had excuse after excuse for 7 years. COVID was only 4 years ago.
What was he doing 3 years before that? Now that he doesn't have the behind on bills excuse, he's saying he's anxious.
I guarantee he hasn't saved a penny towards a ring.
As someone who went through something similar, this is your window into a future with him.
This will not get better. He didn't buy it because what is important to you is just not that important to him.
You both might be happy for a while, but my guess is that it will be you that is making that happen. When things get harder, because they will, it will still all be on you. If I could go back and tell myself about what's to come, I would let myself know that the time to walk is right now. Find someone who is excited to make you happy.
I seriously doubt he has been saving any money for either a ring or a wedding. Question: did he actually take your mother up on her offer? He's not gonna marry you, I'm sorry.